Waiter, waiter, 1 cup of male attention, please. One question I get all the time is, are you doing it for male attention? Are you doing it for money? It's obviously just a grift. But anyways, it's time to answer your guys' questions. Can you do ASMR with your collection? Sure. Where do you buy all of your reproduction uniforms from? My M36 over here. I should probably put my hats back in order. Hold on. So my M36 tunic over here, this is from Military Harbor. And basically everything else I have that's German is also from Military Harbor. For the regular clothes themselves, here's my Kodmanta over here, which is brand new to the collection. There are some hats that I own that are also from Military Harbor, like this one for example, though I replaced the aluminum insignia with originals, except not yet. As you can tell, this one is missing one of the prongs, so it's just not entirely in there just yet. Have I ever shot my Ozinagant? Shooting it isn't really fun. It has a really bad mule kick, and it feels like my arm is just being torn off of my body whenever I shoot it, so it's really not that exciting. I prefer it more as a display piece. Does it bother you to be called a Fed or a glowy? Honestly, no. I think it's kind of funny. I think there's like worse things for me to be offended about. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, temporarily switching gears to my Kriegsmine room, as empty as it is at the current moment. I don't live here usually. The next question I get all the time is, what do I do with paper artifacts? So the answer is I either just frame them, like this original Kriegsmine uniform and insignia and rank insignia guide, or I put them in plastic protective sleeves. I get these off of Amazon. I don't have an example for you right here, but I'll put like a picture. That does bring me on to another question I get is, does it weigh down on my mental health to sleep next to things that have so much heavy history, of course related to like war and things? The answer is no. I like learning about this stuff. It's something I'm very passionate about. But nevertheless, that does bring me on to today's sponsor, BetterHelp. New Year's resolutions often fade by February because most of them are built around becoming a new person instead of building small and consistent habits. I've learned that real change happens gradually. One habit that's made a real difference for me this year is journaling. It helps me understand myself and my emotions more. Therapy works the same way. It's not a quick fix. It's a steady habit of showing up, reflecting, and growing. Each session builds awareness and support, helping you understand yourself more deeply and make room for real change. BetterHelp's goal is to make starting therapy as simple and stress-free as possible. They match you with a licensed therapist who's trained to offer you unbiased guidance and advice, and to really listen to you. Just complete a short questionnaire and you can be paired with a therapist in only a couple of days. And if your first match isn't quite right, switching therapist is quick and easy and free. With more than 7,000 reviews and a 4.3 star rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp has garnered the trust of a huge community. You can get 10% off your first month of therapy by visiting my link in the description, which is also right here. If you're ready to break old patterns with real support, then therapy with BetterHelp might be the best option for you.
And will you marry me? Oh my god. No joke, like at least like 50 of these say, can you marry me? No, I'm not gonna marry you. Do you do airsoft or some other kind of running around in the forest dressed in camo activity? I suppose you could count my pseudo reenactment as to be in this caliber, but other than that, no. What is your favorite type of militaria to collect? This is a fun question. So I have narrowed it down to 3 main ones because as much as I do like collecting bigger pieces, it does cost a lot of money. Otherwise, for smaller items, I do love collecting original insignia for my uniforms. I also really like collecting original photographs and postcards. I have many of those here, but my favorite postcard is this, the Kriegsweihnacht. The Kriegsweihnacht, 1941. How genuine is that apolitical part of your YouTube bio? How long before that slope gets too slippery? I mean, okay, let's think about it for a second here. You have to be really historically schizophrenic to be able to agree with East Germany, Vietnam War era America, and World War II Germany all at once. And these are the 3 topics I have went into on my channel. Since you did a video on the Panzerfaust, which would you prefer if you were a soldier in the Wehrmacht, the Panzerfaust, or the Panzerschreck? So I would undoubtedly choose the Panzerfaust. as it is much simpler to operate than the Panzerschreck. Plus, it's just cooler. Your most expensive relic from World War II? Absolutely my Stahlhelm that my friend refurbished for me. You are Hungarian, but do you have German ancestry in any degree? I ask this because there are pockets of German inside Hungary. Well, according to my DNA test from my Barbarossa video, it is said that I have 11.4% Germanic heritage, so do with that whatever you will, and I know that I have Swabian roots. Which machine gun do you prefer, MG34, MG42, or DP27? That's another good question, but I think I will choose the MG34. Favorite band? My favorite band is Depeche Mode. I love Depeche Mode so much. I'm a huge fan of New Wave. What is a surprisingly difficult piece of memorabilia to find/acquire? So far, the most difficult one to find has been my Kadmerda goggles, or my motorcycle goggles, just in general. Are you thinking about getting a full World War II German Panzer uniform? I've got one myself. As previously demonstrated, I do have one. Here's a later model Panzerhauptmann uniform. But nevertheless, it just got finished, and it looks wonderful. Even has sewn-in shoulder boards. Literally so awesome. Whoops, it just fell. Of course, the Panzerwrap itself is from Military Harbor, if anyone was interested, and the medals are from War Militaria. What piece do you want the most but don't have? So I really, really want some Reichswehr or transitional Reichswehr stuff, and I'm working on getting those, actually. I have my helmet guy actually purchased me an M16 shell that he will refurbish for me the same way that he did my M35. And that will be awesome because it's going to be a transitional M16, which is, as covered in my Stahlhelm video, a transitional M16 is an M16 with transitional decals on the outside and a transitional liner. Has anyone ever come into your room for the first time and gotten flabbergasted by the militaria in it? I don't really talk to people in real life, so this hasn't been a prevalent issue for me. What is your height? Weight, shoe size, shirt size, pant size? Is Amir your real name? If not, what is your name? What state and city are you located in? Are you single? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to clone me or something? Which historical figure do you find the most quirky or entertaining? That's a good question. But genuinely quirky, I would probably say Rudolf Hess, because that guy had some screws loose and everyone knew it. Can you drink water? What kind of question is that? Like, actually, no, I've never drank water in my life. That's just never happened to me before. I don't know what that is. Is a video in the 1920s Freikorps possible, since this period of Germany isn't really talked about as much as World War I or World War II? For example, well, it's a really interesting topic, and also my favorite of this nation's history. So I actually do quite enjoy the learning about the Freikorps and other various German interwar affairs, and I would love to make a video about that for you guys. I do have a book about them as well. What sparked your fascination for German military? I assume this means German military history in specific. So that's a great question. I don't know. I would go back in time and ask 10-year-old me why I chose to be horrifically interested in German military history, because I don't know. In Dresden, when I went to the Bundeswehr Museum, I had one of the museum workers come up to me personally and ask me, "What is a young American girl like you doing so interested in German military history?" And I sat there, I was like, man, I don't know. What is your favorite part of German history? World War II, Cold War, or some other time? To be honest with you, it literally changes every week. But generally speaking, it starts at the interwar period, and it goes up until 1989. Which Allied power had the best uniform in your opinion? Absolutely the Soviets. Out of everything you own in your collection, what is your favorite thing overall? My Stahlhelm. What's your favorite part of running this account? I love both shopping and researching. Favorite World War II movie, fiction included. For realistic World War II movies, I would say either Stalingrad 1993 or Das Boot. But for unrealistic, I would absolutely say Inglourious Bastards. I love Inglourious Bastards, and if you know anything about me, you know that I love Inglourious Bastards. What, in your opinion, is the most underrated historical era? I personally love to learn about Weimar era Germany. Have you ever ate an MRE? If so, what was the MRE? Yes, actually, I have eaten an MRE, and it was awful. So there's a fun story on how I actually got my hands on a modern, expired in 2021 Russian MRE. I was at a reenactment event, but it was in Hungary. One of my friends invited me, so I went with him. And there were these two guys who were Russo-Ukrainian War reenactors, and I went up to them, and they start telling me about how they'd literally just drive to Moscow, no AC or anything, in their stupid little Lada, and how they source these MREs to sell. That's just what they do. They drive all the way to Moscow. And I just thought that was, like, really interesting. It's like you really meet some of the most interesting people in this hobby. And that's one of the main reasons I love it so much, is that everyone in here is so wildly autistic in ways that any normal human being just couldn't even comprehend. But I had it, and it tasted like cardboard and sludge, probably because it expired like 4 years ago, but at the same time, it's an MRE. It doesn't really expire. You could probably eat this in 20 years and it wouldn't kill you still. But here are some crackers. These literally taste like drywall. Like, it is awful. And I believe this is sugar? I'm not sure. My dad, who speaks Russian, translated it for me. That's all the time I have to answer questions today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Consider supporting me on Patreon, where you can get cool stuff like extra photo shoots and behind-the-scenes content, all while being able to help me pump out more cool gear and videos for you guys. See you all next time.